everyone, it's Lola, and as many of you know, I have been giving our socially distanced version of the tour here at the Susan B. Anthony house since about June. And we're really missing all of our volunteers, so I thought I would give you a quick recap of what it's like now with all of the COVID-19 protocols in place.
Usually get ready for the tours by putting out our hand sanitizer machines and wiping down all the pictures. Here are all the pictures, they're dry now. So now I'm going to show you what it's like from the perspective of a guest coming into the Anthony Museum. So as you can tell, it's pretty cold today, so that's why we like to start our tours inside. We have a new doorbell, so visitors will usually ring and then someone will come to this door. Then they can walk right through here. Sorry. And there's a hand sanitizing station here, so we usually sanitize their hands right here. And then we'll start our tour.
Welcome, everyone. Good to see you.
Our visitors have already registered online, so now there's an online registration right on our website. So we'll check their names for contact tracing and everything. And then I'll start the tour in here. Right now our tours are no more than 8 people, and usually we don't have more than 3 or 4 families at a time. So I'll give a little introduction in here, just say welcome to the museum, share the history behind this home, and then we'll come through here. As you can tell, it's very cold, but I usually stop out here for 2 or 3 minutes just because we like having space in between the enclosed inside spaces, so there's a little time in between. And usually out here I'll talk a little bit about Frances Ellen Watkins Harper. She's a new addition to the tour. I also talk a little bit about Ida B. Wells. We usually talk about her upstairs on the second story, but because we're not using the upstairs right now, I usually talk about her out here a little bit. Also Jovita Adair, who's another new face that we're learning about on the tour. And then usually by that point, everyone's really cold. So I go inside this. We also have our 2020 quilt here. So usually our groups, we have these tables set up this way. So usually we'll have one group standing right here and another group behind this table. And they'll look around at the quilt, at this wonderful artwork of Susan B. Anthony. And then I'll run through the presentation, but it's a couple slides long. And I usually talk as I'm doing this. I'll add on some information. And then we stop for a few questions. And then we go back outside. Today it's snowing, so it's extra cold, which is why out here I usually like to tell a story about Susan B. Anthony in the snowstorm and how she used to work in the cold. So she was no stranger to these snowy, icy conditions. I usually will take a couple more questions if anyone has them. And out here I also like to talk a little bit about Mary Anthony and how she was the home owner. So you're probably used to the tour ending over here. But with COVID, we have to maintain one-way traffic, which means that because we started over there, we have to loop around and come over here. So usually because this room is so small, I don't like to stop in here for more than a minute, and that's usually only when I have a group of 1 or 2. So if there's 1 or 2 people, I'll stop in here for 30 seconds to 1 minute and mention these photos on the wall. But if there's more people than 2 or 3, we'll walk right through here into the dining room. And just like you remember, we talk about Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton's friendship in the dining room. So in the back parlor, like you remember, I usually talk a little bit about Susan B. Anthony and Frederick Douglass, along with the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. And in here now, we also talk a little bit about the Revolution, which was Susan B. Anthony's newspaper, since we can't go up to the attic anymore. And then we'll loop right back around to the front parlor. And this is probably the one room that stayed exactly the same from what you remember. In the front parlor, as usual, I'll tell the story of Susan B. Anthony's arrest and trial and show the political cartoon. And this is usually everybody's favorite part of the tour. So at that point, we've actually finished up with the main portion of the tour. So I've talked about Susan B. Anthony's childhood, how she ended up in Rochester, and much of her career as a reformer. Well, it seems like we missed a lot of the information on the second story. I usually like to add in some of those facts as we're coming through the house or even outside. So now I come out to the front door, and I usually stop right here to show everyone this picture that we have of Susan B. Anthony standing right where I am right now. And that's pretty exciting for all of the visitors, and they really like that part. As you can see, we also have our pearls. They're draped along the fence over here, although it's a little bit snowy so you can't see right now, and the railing. And that's celebrating all of the women that we elected to Congress this year, along with our first female vice president. A really great connection to today. I usually talk a little bit out here about the end of Susan B. Anthony's life, the passage of the 19th Amendment, and where she left us. I also love talking about how her story relates to the present and how we can build on the original message of the suffragists. Then usually I conclude the tour, and on nicer days I will point our guests down to the park if they want to see the statue of Susan B. Anthony and Frederick Douglass. And we also have an option now to go back into the visitor center and look at the gift shop, which you already saw, but usually we'd walk, again, right back down the sidewalk and into the gift shop.
So now the tour has concluded, and at this point most of the guests are either down by the park, or they're over looking at the gift shop, or they're outside taking a few pictures before they leave. So that's usually when I start the cleaning process after the tours. So there you have it, an overview of what tours are like at the Susan B. Anthony House during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, while things are definitely different without being able to go to the second floor, it's so incredible to see how our visitors are still really enjoying the interpretation that we're able to provide. I absolutely love seeing everyone's faces, especially when we go inside to the front parlor and everyone's eyes just light up, hearing the story of Susan B. Anthony's arrest and trial. It's so great to see how many people are still interested in hearing this history and how many people get so excited about the tour that we're able to offer. However, even though we're still up and running, it's very different without all of our volunteers. I miss each and every single one of you so very much, and I cannot wait until the day when we can all be together again. But for now, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you when it's safe again. Bye!